And it's Ken Kraetzer for CBSI Services, Talking Business, another episode of our series talking with digital marketers, marketing uh, experts, educators, and people in customer service and insurance. And today we have a chance to talk with a CPA, and that is Jason Bovell, who has a firm in New York City, Bovell Financial, at Rockefeller Center, 45 Rock. Great address. And we're going to talk a little bit about how he's working with his clients and about thoughts on how the federally sponsored CARES Act can help clients and help businesses today. Jason, how are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, Ken?
Real good. Thank you for your time today and a chance to chat. Now, you've got an interesting background. You went to Morehouse College in Atlanta, the University of Denver, where my sister went to college. And then you've been at Morgan Stanley, Dean Witter, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Cox Enterprises before being at a firm which has a family legacy. Tell us a little bit about your career and some of the steps along the way.
Uh, Thank you, Ken. So I'm a second generation CPA. My father is in the field. He's quasi-retired, although I'm sure he likes to still say he's active. I started my career at Morgan Stanley doing internships for the summers. And then once I finished grad school at the University of Denver, I started my professional career at PricewaterhouseCoopers. I was in the tax department, was a great experience, learned a lot after that, and sat for my CPA exam during the time, became licensed, decided to try my hand at industry. So I joined Cox Enterprise. After that experience, I was able to launch out into my own, doing consulting for companies, and then being able to offer my services to the public, as well as eventually take over the full reins of Bovell Financial from my father.
Very interesting. Great background. Great to see you're following in your father's footsteps in a very important field. Now, tell us a little bit about it. We always say it's tax time on April 15th. It just around. This would normally be the key day that so many of us are getting our returns done. And tell us a little bit about what are you working with your clients on now? What are some of the keys for them to try and get through this very difficult COVID-19 crisis period?
Well, as everyone's probably aware, the filing deadline has been pushed back due to this crisis to July 15th. So we're seeing a lot of my clients that come in the door for the firm has more time. So that has kind of tailed off for not just my firm, but for a lot of my associates around the country. What has picked up, as everyone is aware, is work handling this CARES Act. That's really been the focus of our firm for the past few weeks. And I think it'll be the focus probably for another few weeks, as everyone, as far as businesses are concerned, are trying to see what their options are, what they qualify for, and how they can get their application in the door to be considered during this time to avoid as much economic loss and hardship as possible.
Well, absolutely. We've been following it at CBSI, working in banking, and so important. The $2 trillion that was approved. We actually spoke to Congressman Elliot Engel about it a little bit last week. There have been 3 phases approved so far. There's discussion of a 4th phase being looked at next week. There was increase in funding that was being voted on just the end of this week. Tell us a little bit about what you've seen as important measures within the federal response to COVID-19 and the CARES Act.
So with everything that's been going on, the federal government has tried to do certain measures to prop up not only the individual American citizen, but the business community, which is very important because, as you know, certain businesses, especially the restaurant business, are extremely impacted by uh, what's going on and with a lot of the mandated shutdown. So what the CARES Act has done, especially for the business community, is try to have a bridge so that owners and businesses can stay open past this virus. So right now, the programs that they're offering, uh, really the two major ones that are impacting the businesses, the Paycheck Protection Program, the acronym everyone's referring to as PPP, and the Economic Injury Program. Those are the two programs now that are taking center stage for the business community to get involved in.
Well, certainly the payment protection program is vital, helping employers who have my understanding is less than 500 employees be able to make their payroll, and they're eligible for this if they keep their employees on the payroll during this period. How exactly do you see that working? What are the requirements for an employer?
Well, that is a great question. I believe in theory the idea is a great idea. It gives incentive for the employers to keep their staff on, and also gives them a financial incentive and help. Right now, the qualifications, it's been a process. So right now, from what we're seeing with helping our clients, is the requirements are, of course, your established business. You have to provide your payroll. So in normal times, payroll just consists of your W-2 employees. But with this program, it's not just W-2 employees, it's also if you have 1099 contractors. And what they're asking is for you to submit your tax information showing your W-2 and your 1099 contractors as well, so that they can get a feel of the amount that you will need to borrow so that you can keep them on the staff. As well as they're also asking, of course, what is your gross revenue, your operating expenses, your cost of goods sold, and other things of that nature.
Well, that's an interesting point that you bring up, that 1099 contractors are eligible to be considered as part of this, because that's been something a lot of people have been concerned about, as the so-called gig workers working independently and being a big part of the economy. So is that what you see happening, so that it's both employees, traditional employees would be covered under this, and also contractor employees? Well, contractors are not employees.
Yes, and I think that piece of legislation is very big, especially if you're trying to target small businesses, where a good portion of small businesses have contractors as a part of their team for a myriad of reasons. A lot of it sometimes being the cost is cheaper traditionally than having a W-2 employee. So that part of the program actually is very vital and effective if you're trying to help small businesses with under 500 employees. So that is a great piece to it, and it's really able to reach more small businesses.
Very good. If you could tell us a little bit about the disaster recovery part of the legislation, the program approved by Congress. What is that targeted to?
So that piece of legislation, it's targeted to business owners of all forms. So whether you're a corporation, partnership, limited liability company, sole proprietor, or a 1099 contractor, you can participate in that program. Right now, the process to enroll is actually very simple compared to the traditional small business applications that we've seen over the years. They've made it very user friendly, and it's a great program to get involved with.
And what, so that would cover companies of any size. What is the statistic that they would be trying to provide coverage against?
Well, really the same statistic as the paycheck program. So what their requirements are is that you have to be under 500 employees, not owned by another corporation, and really, in true sense of the word, a small business or an independent contractor. And what they're asking is for your gross income, your cost of goods sold, your operating expenses, of course, some other minor things, but those are the major things. And that program is saying that they will advance you a $10,000 loan. And then, of course, along the process, that loan may increase depending on your worthiness.
So that could help with things like rent for a facility or operating expenses during the period that don't go away, even if business can't be conducted?
Yes, it's a great bridge that they're trying to roll out to help the smaller companies and the contractors stay afloat during this time.
Absolutely. I guess I've heard that one of the next areas they're going to look at are some of the transportation industries, especially the airline industry, which is virtually shut down. It's hard to imagine. Usually we have a lot of planes flying over our heads here in White Plains, but it seems like a few a day. What other aspects do you see the federal government able to step in using their vast resources and the resources of the Treasury to help businesses, help consumers during the crisis?
I think they're trying to do a wait and see approach. I get that feeling from the different banks that I've been in contact with, as well as the private lending institutions that are jumping in this to be a provider. Right now, their focus, of course, is for the smaller companies, but I do believe the larger companies, they will try to roll out plans. So definitely the airline industry is one area that I see them trying to prop up. I also see them trying to prop up the retail industry. A lot of the malls across the country and a lot of the major commercial real estate areas are dealing with this virus as far as financial impact. You read stories, you hear that, for example, the Cheesecake Factory has shut down and they're in malls across the country. And the CEO has said that they're not paying their commercial rent for at least the month of April. So I can see the developers and the owners of these vast commercial properties possibly needing help, or at least demanding that they get some attention paid to them in the future. So those are the two industries that I see immediately needing some help from the government. I think as you go along, you'll see some other things, probably public transportation system, such as in New York, Chicago, DC, needing or asking for some help, since their users really have dried up drastically, since it's now only essential workers. So that industry, I see also needing, possibly needing some help, even though personally and professionally speaking, I feel that those industries should have enough cash for crisis situations, but that's a conversation for another day.
Certainly. Now, tell us a little bit about what you're doing, helping your clients with this loan process. I've read that the larger banks have been taking care of existing customers first. I've talked to a community bank on Long Island who said that they're very happy to take care of new customers in the situation. How do you see it working on how a business should approach whether a large bank or trying to approach a local community-oriented commercial bank?
So what we've been doing with our clients, and this is the advice I'd give to anyone listening, is first we look at the situation for each individual client. So my clients that already are with the major banks, we typically have advised them to go to the major banks. So we've gone with them to the major banks to participate in their program. So far, there's been hiccups, but that's been the easiest way. I know certain major banks have already told us that they're only going to handle their clients. The smaller community banks, of course, are open to handle new clients. And for certain clients, we have actually sent them to community banks for them to start the process, because we had a few clients that banked with a major bank, but at the time, that major bank, when we got ready to apply for the payroll protection program, they had shut their program down. And the clients were not happy about that. So what we were able to do is find community banks that were in a reasonable distance to them and have them sign up. So my advice to anyone listening is try the existing bank that you're dealing with. And if you're not happy with the reception or the response, then I would go and look at a community bank that would definitely be open to your business for a myriad of reasons. It might be a great move because, usually in a time of crisis, you really get to test relationships and see what really works for you as the consumer.
Interesting perspective on which bank to approach in trying to make an application to the Small Business Administration for one of the federally sponsored loan programs, grant programs coming out of the CARES Act from the federal government. And Jason, great to talk with you today. You have got a wealth of information and experience that I could just tell from listening to you. Tell us, do you have a final thought for the day?
Yes. I believe that with this uncertainty, there's a lot of issues that business owners and individuals will face. The government so far has been proactive, but really and truly, the best response is everyone pitching in to help each other, whether it's sharing information, starting new lines of business services that your business is offering, figuring out how to help your neighbor, your loved one, your parents, your children. It's really going to take a community effort really for us to get past this. A lot of times we look for help from the top, but the real help comes from the bottom up. So that's just my piece of advice on how we as American citizens, both individual and business owners, are going to get through this period.
Absolutely. We've all got to pitch in, help each other, and we're all in awe of the healthcare workers who are doing such a great job at area hospitals, doctors, nurses, technicians, ambulance teams, and the military folks who came in to help out. We're just all want to recognize and extend appreciation. Jason, is there a website that viewers can obtain more information about your company?
Yes, it is www.bovell, Bovell financial.com. So it's bovellfinancial.com. We have overview of the CARES Act, as well as detailed parts for those that it fits your needs. Of course, you can also email us. That email address is info@bovellfinancial.com. And you can call us. That number is 212-332-1660. Once again, that's 212-332-1660.
Well, Jason, this is great. I really enjoyed meeting you today, and hope we can meet in person in the near future when the situation has gone away and we're back to hopefully back to normal life and commerce here in the New York area. But thank you again. You got a lot of insight. You can tell you got a great perspective. I'm sure your clients appreciate your advice and working with you.
Thank you, Ken. It was great meeting you, and I look forward to meeting you in person. Stay safe, you and your loved ones.
You too. Good, good to talk with you. Okay, this is Ken Kraetzer for CBSI Services Talking Business, representing our team in Harrison, New York, that provides customer service and special benefit programs to over 1,200 banks across the country, and always try to represent them. They do a great job with our clients. So thanking Jason Bovell again. This is Ken Kraetzer for CBSI Services Talking Business. Have a great day, everybody. Stay safe.